Okay, we want to talk about, welcome back from the break, folks. Hope it was enjoyable. We want to talk about economic development. Who wants to start out? What's new in economic development, and what's your philosophy? How can we move this town forward? We hear this consistently. We need jobs, we need jobs, we need jobs. And I don't disagree that we need jobs. Jobs are a great thing. They help families live. How do we do that?
I'll tell you my philosophy.
Good.
When I worked for the state, our premise was when you're working in a community to grow jobs and businesses, you work together as a team, you bring all the players together in that community, and you basically promote your community, you realize what your issues are, and the city should be supporting our business community, our citizens, and work together in this team, which includes your education, your higher education, because they can provide the training, the business organizations like the Chamber, who are very familiar with the issues, come together. I think in the end, all of us, our goal is to have a thriving community where we can raise our families, where there can be jobs so we can have a good life here. And that was the reason why we were able to come to make our dream come true. It was because of a job that sustains us here in Duluth. It's a beautiful place to raise a family. When I worked at the state, we had this concept, and I know you know it, the Star City program. Mm-hmm. And the number one goal first was to have this comprehensive plan, which thankfully Duluth has finally completed. Yep. Worked on that comprehensive plan. You've got
it was 49 years.
49 years. That was like the number one requirement of a Star City. And then you bring all your players together and you talk about how we can grow our businesses, realize what their issues are.
Okay, what are our issues? You talk about these issues.
Well, when I'm out there, I hear it's the building permitting process, slows things down. I've experienced that myself with my own renovation project. It took almost 3 or 4 months to get that permit. And we just kissed the whole summer goodbye when we should have been working on our project. And then it costs more to do the project because we were doing it in the dead of winter. So I've heard that we've got to do something with the building permitting process.
So we've talked about that, building inspection.
We have to get our financial books in order here in the city because that scares businesses. Crime, again, we gotta make our cities safe for our families. If we're gonna have families, if we want families to grow and thrive here, it has to be a safe community for them as well. That's why I get involved. I have so much faith in this city. I think it has amazing potential. I just think we need the right, positive, proactive people that are going to put special interests aside. Our number one interest and goal is just a better place for our families to live. I think we need leaders like that, and leaders that are familiar with economic development, community development. I think is very key, and having a team approach and
okay.
You know.
Jack, you're an economic developer by trade.
Well, let me ask Tim a question. The DITA group, are they considered an economic development organization?
I wouldn't consider them that, no.
I think that's one of our problems, because in every community I've ever worked with that was successful, they had a good economic development organization. And I always urge them to get the banker involved, because the banker is the only one that can make a deal, a real deal. He's got cash in hand, he can determine whether or not this is a good project, bad project.
Okay.
You've got to have that. You've got to have the labor. You've got to have the rest of the organizations there. But start with your basic community leadership, the ones who control what happens there. And I say the banker has got to be a major player.
Okay.
And that's why, like Tony said, DITA should never have been made up of the city council. That was one thing that this administration requested, and I'm proud to say I voted against it. Obviously passed, but we've got no business being the city council. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Let me just, I kind of agree with this personally, that perhaps DITA ought to be business folks or a combination of business folks and city council, whatever. But that aside, is it maybe some of the things we've jumped into in the past, like the aquarium, that maybe were not successful, that held us back? And that's why DITA's there? So how do we forget about the failures and move forward to success?
Well, I think myself, it's a combination of many different things. Like Becky said, there are so many things going on in the city, and businesses are afraid of You know, they want a stable economic climate, and one thing we need to deal with is our school system. It's just chaotic right now. Nobody knows what's going on with the schools, and families are going to be hesitant about coming here. So there's those issues. There's the crime issues. There's retiree health care issues. But I don't know if, you know, every community is going to have certain businesses that don't make it, and that's just a fact of life. But we've also got, in my opinion, we've got the most attractive city in the country, and it shouldn't be hard to get businesses here. And I don't, necessarily believe it's the government's role or the city council or the mayor's role to go out and get businesses. We need to focus on keeping the ones we have here to start with.
So retention first.
Retention first. In fact, as an example, I was having some campaign literature made, and they got a call from the company. They said, your stuff's ready, come get it. I called the next day, no answer. I called the next day, no answer. I went down there, the door was locked. Finally went there today, and they said, oh, we're closing. We've got your stuff ready, but we're done. We just can't make it. And that's, it's not the government. We need to bring people in here. And we always hear Duluth compared to Fargo. Look what's going on in Fargo with St. Cloud and Grand Forks. Well, it's a little different because we've got this climate, we've got these hills, and we've got lakes. And in any of those communities, you can say, guys can come to town and say, we want to put a business, well, just go put it over there. We don't have to worry about cutting down trees, we don't have to worry about lakes and rivers and streams and stuff like that. We've got those issues we have to deal with here, but it's just many different factors that play a role in this.
Well, aside from, I'll come to you in a second, but aside from the lakes and trees, which are different than Fargo and Grand Forks, I mean, that's a lot of greens, a lot of plain old ground you can build on. What else is different that Fargo and Grand Forks and